Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in LeeAnne. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
Exactly.
Good morning. I don't exactly look like Reed Powers, and our host Doc Hamels was stuck in his driveway, so he should be here momentarily. Reed is not feeling well, but I do wish you all a good morning on this rather chilly winter morning. Anyhow, we are here at Access Studio Channel 5 here in Mayville. We're looking forward to a really good show with our, who is it? LeeAnne Cogdill. She's a dog trainer. And I guess we're going to start right off here without too much of other introduction because I don't have
You always make sure I brush my teeth.
Uh-oh. Anyhow, how did you get started in this? Where are you from? Let's start there. Where are you from?
Where I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, but that's irrelevant. So I got started with dog training because I was lucky enough to own the world's most perfect dog. His name was Pooh Bear. He was a second-hand German Shepherd. Anything you wanted, he could do, and we made me very popular because I'd get calls saying, "We're having a little party. Would you like to come?" "Well, sure." "Would you bring Pooh Bear?" He would watch other people's children and do tricks and greet everybody, and just perfect. So then, when my husband was on sabbatical from the State University at Fredonia, I was also teaching there, and I couldn't get a sabbatical, of course, being lowest person on the teaching totem pole. So I quit, and we went to England for a year, and in England, I don't know if you know, dogs are everywhere, and it's wonderful. You go to a restaurant and the dog's under the table, and they're much cleaner than children. They clean the crumbs, and lined up at the pub and waiting outside shops. And I really loved that, the fact that dogs were a real part of everyday life. And the reason they were a part of everyday life is because they had good manners.
Yes.
So that's what, when I came home, I couldn't find a teaching job with people, so I got a teaching job with dogs, although, of course, actually, it's really training people all the time. And that was 1977, and I've been trying to learn more and teach more every year since then.
So it's actually teaching people how to interact with their dogs.
That's
then,
right.
More than anything else.
And what we do, you say positive training, that sounds kind of namby-pamby. But what I like to do is to ask people to envision what they want their dog to do. What would the perfect dog do? And then we try to teach a series of progressive better and better behaviors that get to that picture of the perfect dog.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
We try.
I had a dog years ago that I could talk to, and they would understand. And here the other day, I was listening on the radio, and I was kind of surprised that they compared the dog to a toddler in the way that they can understand words. They have a vocabulary of upwards of a couple hundred words that depending on the dog.
But a couple hundred, is nothing compared to us. I mean, just nothing. So they compare them to a 2-year-old, not a 3-year-old, because they'll never catch up. And that's, of course, one of the mistakes we make all the time, is thinking, oh, he understands me, when really he understands the circumstances. And so we can be very unfair to our dogs by thinking they understand language.
So, but, they do understand the word sit and stay and come.
Well, when they're taught to.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And and the dogs that are famous for their big vocabularies, they mostly learn nouns. They learn objects. So go get your ball, go get your stuffed rabbit, go get your whistle.
So it's not so much the verb, it's the noun.
That's right, and it's the
object.
circumstances.
Okay.
Because you don't say go brush your teeth.
Okay. Let's do a PSA here real quick. I'm not sure if we're set up to do that, but John's here, so we need to make a change. And we'll let John introduce our other guest, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
They said I would die.
My doctor told me I had ALS.
They said I wouldn't live to see my kids grow up.
But their doctors were wrong. Multifocal motor neuropathy, referred to as MMN, is a rare disorder that progressively weakens muscles in the extremities and is often mistaken for other serious neuropathies, as well as the ultimately fatal condition known as ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. But unlike those disorders, MMN affects only lower motor nerves and has no sensory involvement. Symptoms tend to be asymmetric and characterized by weakness, cramping, twitching, or muscle atrophy, usually beginning in the hands. Disease progression depends on the length of time the patient remains without the correct MMN diagnosis. With early diagnosis and treatment, most MMN patients continue doing the things they enjoy.
Cooking.
Gardening.
Spending time with my family.
For more information, please visit these websites.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being patient, and thanks, Jeff, for filling in for me, for who's filling in for Reed. Got a call this morning about, I don't remember, it was about 7:45. Reed, good morning. I hope you're feeling better. He's under the weather, and I said, sure, no problem. So I was going to start out early. As I'm getting my coat on, I get a phone call. It's my wife. I go, what? She's supposed to be on her way to Northeast. She says, I'm stuck at the end of the driveway. I have a 140-foot driveway, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's no big deal. We'll just shovel it out. I go out there, and I think she was belly up in about 2.5 feet of snow. Folks, I got to tell you, what's today, the 4th? I'm a little discombobulated. This is Saturday morning, and be extremely careful driving out there. The sun is shining, it's blue skies, but the problem is you got about 20-some mile-an-hour winds, and what it's doing, it's creating a sheen right across the road. So you got black ice, you got a white coating on the roads. I went into 4 skids getting here. The other mistake I made was after I pushed my wife out with my 4-wheel drive pickup truck. I had this plastic boogie board I could put between us, tire routine. My brakes were totally plugged up with snow, so when I came down at the bottom of Welch Hill in Ripley on a 30-degree angle, my truck went into a total 180 right in the middle of the intersection, watching my life go before me. But anything for you here at Senior Report. But Mayville Hill is very, very slippery, so be very careful. Okay, we're going to get back to our guests here today in just a minute with LeeAnne and Heather. And but just a few things I wanted to bring up here, and again, I apologize. I was, one of the guys says, you look a little sweaty. I go, I've been pushing a 3,000-pound vehicle here. Okay. Well, anyways, Reed, I hope you're feeling better, and thanks for the opportunity to get rushed out in the snow today. All right. What I wanted to do today was talk about a letter that you may have gotten from our dear friend Kathy Young. It's actually a survey. Hey, I hear somebody over there. That's a sound that I'm very familiar with. Okay, and also there was one from Andrew Goodell. Hey, he is that a he or a she dog?
She.
It's a she. She's fine.
That's Ava Gabor.
Ava. All right. Anyways, we got surveys in the mail. All right. I don't know if everybody else did, but I did. And it's a community questionnaire. And the reason why I bring it up is how many times do we get these things in the mail? We just pitch them in the old circular file. We complain about everything under the sun, especially here at Senior Report. And this is your opportunity to let Andy on his survey or Kathy to know what you think about various issues. Okay, let me just touch on a couple of these, and I don't want to go through all of them, but some of these things I know we talk about here on the show. For instance, should the New York Safe Act be repealed? You know, they go yes, no, or undecided. I crossed out repealed and said amended. I'm not sure. There's things like, here's a good one. How about legalizing medicinal marijuana? Hot topic, but hey, we've been using herbs for thousands of years. Maybe it's got a place in society. That's your call. Then, of course, another hot one is, do you support hydraulic fracturing for natural gas? Well, mine is undecided. I don't know enough about that one way or the other. I've heard both sides of the story so far, and they both give a great argument for it or against. But again, Kathy's asking what's your feeling on this, and of course you can put comments in there. Questions about, are you happy with the quality of your local public schools? Well, it depends if your kid's passing or on a roll or in detention every week, I guess. Being a school superintendent, my popularity varied from hour to hour. Then another hot topic we haven't even touched on here at the show is the Common Core curriculum that's coming in at the federal level. They want to know what your feeling is on that, because I know some schools some states are opting out of this, and that's a pretty hot topic right now. And so anyways, then there's an opportunity for you to fill in at the bottom anything that you have on your mind and so forth, and of course taxes and so on. So stamps going on this today. I encourage you to fill out Kathy's survey and also Andy Goodell's, and let them know what you think. Anytime you can call them if you have something else on your mind. I have received personal letters from both folks on various topics, and they know who you are if you write to them, and they do track their emails as well. So with that, I'm going to switch a little bit. Something that came across my email this week was right from here. Chris Burt, he's a guy that's always behind the scenes, and he's always doing stuff on the computer. I'm never quite sure what he's doing, Randy, but he's always doing something. He's a busy guy. Anyways, he sent us an email, and if you haven't, and maybe Chris can come up with this, I don't know if he magically can type this in on the screen, but we have a website here at Access 5, and the Senior Report is a good chunk of what we do, all right? But there's also Destination Chautauqua, or is it Chautauqua Destination? Destination Chautauqua. There's Chautauqua County. There's Chautauqua People. There's the Cooking with Nick. There's a whole variety of different subcategories of what we do. There we go, right here. This is like the telethon. See how that goes, LeeAnne? Okay. If you go to this particular website, we'll keep it up there for a minute. On there, guys, is a wealth of stuff. There are all the shows from the past few years, and especially the past year. There's every single one of the shows. You can hit a little icon, bring up the show. If you heard something that maybe Kathy Young said, and say, all right, let me ask you, I forgot what she said about that. Or you want to go back and hear about maybe what our county legislators throughout the year have said, you can go back. Those are all archived. You also can go into Destination Chautauqua County, and there's different programs that are listed there. It's a great website. It's easy to navigate, and if you haven't had a chance, this is a great access for all of you, especially if you missed the show throughout the week and you want to catch something that that was of interest to you. So I'm going to be quiet here now. I'm going to stop talking about things I want to talk about, because we've had some patient people and friends here. She's ready to go to sleep over there.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Anyways, I'm going to bring the whole subject back to the Serious Dog School, and I've got LeeAnne, I'm going to say it, Cogdill, and I've got Heather Pandakowski. Did I say that right?
Close.
No?
Yep.
Okay. Anyways, and so since I didn't have an opportunity to find out what you're all about, and I know Jeff was talking a little bit, so why don't we just pick up the theme where you left up? You were talking a little bit about how you got involved with the dog school and so forth. And where are you located, LeeAnne?
I'm in Brockton, right on Route 20.
Route 20. How was your ride today?
Well, Heather was driving, so my ride was fine.
Your ride was
lots
fine.
and lots of blowing snow.
Yeah, lots
and,
of drifting, huh?
And the road makes you uneasy because there's black spots and white spots, and you never know which of them might be ice.
For sure. Okay, so why don't you start the conversation off where you left off, and then I'll think of some really witty
Well,
questions.
why don't
to
I
ask you.
start off with why we're here today?
There you go.
Okay. This is the first week of National Train Your Dog Month.
Oh.
And certain states have made, had the governor make a proclamation to this effect. We haven't gotten to that yet, but maybe by next year. This is the 4th year that we've been doing it. It's very dear to my heart, of course, but it's also very important because more dogs lose their lives because of behavioral issues than everything else put together. Heart trouble, getting hit by a car, cancer, nothing. It's because people get a puppy and they can't figure out what to do, and then it's barking and chewing and digging, and the neighbors get annoyed, and the dog goes to the shelter or to that good home in the country.
So what you're saying is what started out as a
So-
good idea didn't have a good ending
Right.
sometimes.
So
Right.
the sooner you can start training your puppy, and the more fun that training is. Because if training is fun for you and the dog, then you're going to do it. If it's let's go home and jerk the dog around, then you
Right.
find excuses not to.
You know, I see sometimes you go to somebody's house and the dog runs the household. They jump all over you.
Yeah.
They're hyperactive. They paw at you. They do all kinds of things. So are we going to bring on our guest here, or
We are.
Well, let's bring her on.
Okay.
I mean, she looks like she's getting a little antsy.
I
so.
think that, yes, Ava's been patient since 8:30.
So this is Ava Gabor.
Yeah, well, at least look at those big eyes and that beautiful coat.
Wow.
All right. Hi,
So we're
sweetie.
catching this on a
There
special
you
camera
are.
today. We just don't do this
Okay.
camera for everybody. Oh, she can get up there if she wants.
She gets the chair. That's fine. Hi there. So tell us how old Ava is,
She's going to be 2 in April.
and what has she done lately?
She's a canine good citizen. She passed a test for that, and I was kind of nervous about it, so I'm glad we made it. It's quite a few elements that you have to do that generally are problematic for a lot of dogs, walking through crowds.
We'll show some of those in a little
Yes,
bit.
but there's a ton of elements for it, and so she has a lot to learn.
Yes, you need to be moving, don't you? So she's actually in training now for a brand new title that the AKC is offering called Community Canine. And I love this because it means that she gets to go out and do in the real world the stuff she's doing in the classroom.
Okay, for those that are non-dog lovers, AKC stands for American Kennel.
Thank you very much, yes.
What does the C stand for?
Club.
Club. I didn't get that.
I
part.
said we're-
I still got
we're-
ice in the brain here. Go-
We're besieged with initials.
Right, alphabet soup.
The organization I'm talking about first this morning is the APDT, which was the Association of Pet Dog Trainers, and now it's the Association of Professional Dog Trainers.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so what are you gonna show us
Let's let
today?
Ava do something here.
Yeah, she's
First of all, I'll go. Oh no, I'm fastened down.
How much room do you need here? We got you a little bit.
Oh, that's okay. All right. First thing to do, let's call her back and forth because that'll get her going.
Okay.
And
Do you want me to?
she wants a treat. Just drop it. There you go. All right. Go. Just drop the leash, Heather, and go call her. Eva, come here. That's unusual.
Eva, come.
Oh, she's doing great.
Good.
And
Back
she
up,
sits.
Heather.
Now, is that part of the deal? She's got to come
yes,
up and then sit?
absolutely. Eva, come here.
Okay, Heather turned her back.
So
And now-
that's just now. Good girl. She's not used to getting treats like this. Very
What
good.
kind of- what
Can
kind
you
of-
see what I just did there? Call her.
Eva, come.
Okay, she's going back to Heather.
I'll get rid of treats and show
Okay,
you.
no treats this time, no reward.
Eva, come here. What do you do? There you go. Good girl. Okay, you keep her. Oh, there we go. It's very important, and we teach the last thing first, and I'll go into that later if we have
Okay.
time. But the dog is not considered obediently coming when called unless it sits and you can take a hold of the collar. Because we've all seen that dog that comes
Oh,
running
yeah.
up and then you reach for it and it's gone again. So Ava learned sitting and having her collar grabbed
Now, I
before she
noticed a
learned
couple
the other
things, and this is just Skinnerisms, behavior
yes.
management.
Good, good.
I know about these things.
Oh, good.
Well, we apply those things in education with humans. Okay, I noticed that you were reinforcing her with food, and why don't you tell our folks what you're using here? It looks pretty good, actually.
I don't know what Heather brought all together, but there's ham in there, and that's one reason
Little
Ava's so
kibble in there or
excited.
something?
Yes.
But then what you did was you rewarded her with some type of treat, and then you randomly didn't.
That's right.
You just gave her praise. And
Praise,
pet her.
absolutely. And right now, at her level, we wouldn't have to give her treats very often.
Okay.
We use a lot of treats when we're teaching.
Would you call my dog up and let him know that he doesn't need to get a treat every time he comes in and out of the house?
You know your Skinner, you can work
I
that
know,
out
I'm
yourself.
working on it. I got to
And
get the
of
rest of
course,
the family to understand
I
that.
should get this in. What else we use in the teaching phase?
Oh, what we got
This
here?
is a little clicker.
Clicker.
Let's see. Just
Okay.
let her go, hon. Come here, baby. Thank you.
Now, you called her baby. She goes to just, you have to always use her name?
No.
No, evidently she knows something's up there.
Yeah. Now, I clicked the minute her butt hit the ground. And way back when she was learning this. Good.
Okay,
That lets her know that she's done, it lets her know three things. She's done the right thing, she's going to get paid, and that little bit of behavior is over.
All right, this is a true story. You know, Reed likes to digress. I do once in a while. Last time I heard a clicker, I was in parochial school at St. Mark's in Buffalo, and the nuns were using
bad thing in
clickers.
those
You know,
days.
click, click.
Yep.
We have a caller, LeeAnne. Would you like to field the question? Okay,
It's
morning,
probably
caller.
Reed.
Hi,
Hello.
how you doing?
No, I'm here. I'm all right.
I heard about the driveway.
Woo! Mamma mia.
Yeah, well, actually, I asked you when I asked you to take over for me. I wasn't really sick. I just didn't want to get out of
That's
bed.
Reed. Uh-huh. Okay, Reed, we're going to remember that for next Christmas.
I said it was going to be Reed, and it is.
Well, hi, LeeAnne. You know,
Hi, Reed. You just don't want to be left out.
Well, you're talking about those treats. I remember the last time you dropped around, you explained you took hot dogs and baked them in the oven until they were pretty crispy. You broke them up, and they were perfect treats.
And that way you can put them in your pocket. Otherwise, you don't want hot dogs in your pocket.
No.
Well,
All right.
it's pretty cheap, and the dogs love them, apparently.
That's right.
Well, I'm enjoying the show, and I really hope that you continue with your dogs. The last time I remember you brought the dogs in, they played football.
They did. Different dogs. This one's a movie star.
Right.
Movies are Ava.
John, I certainly thank you for taking over, and I hope you have a great show, okay?
Okay, well, thanks, Reed.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
I thought
All right,
I
so
was
with
joking.
he really was sick.
This is really important, and it leads right to what you were just talking about.
Okay, so with the clicker, you are trying to substitute something, or it's a auditory signal?
It's interesting. They think it goes straight through the amygdala like a fear response.
Oh.
But at any rate, there's several reasons.
Does
We
it come
can
in
all say-
supersize? I got a big.
If we were to say good dog every time,
Mm-hmm.
or yes, what a wonderful good dog you are, we would not be able to say it in exactly the same way every time. So the clicker is very specific, and it's also very fast.
Okay.
So a really good trainer can catch the dog and get them to click.
So the click is a reinforcer?
The click is a conditioned reinforcer.
Okay, so it's a good
This is
thing.
a primary
Okay.
reinforcer, and
All
yes,
right.
it's a very good thing.
So we're
The
moving
dogs
away
love it.
from food to
Right.
something else.
Well, we start, actually, whenever we use the clicker, we always use a primary reinforcer in addition.
Okay.
We never do a dry click. It'd be like getting your pay envelope with no check. You know?
Good news, here's your check, bad news,
It
you
would
can't
very
spend it.
soon lose its power.
Okay.
So this is how we start off. Anyway, you want to hear what's basic?
Yeah, please do.
Okay,
I
so
love
we
this
want,
stuff.
first of all, we want the dog to come when it's called. Because if it doesn't come, it gets run over, and then you can't train it.
Oh, yeah.
We want the dog to always, now she's excited and she's not doing it quite as well as usual, but we want the dog to take the front of any human being as a signal to sit. You don't want to come in the door and go, sit, 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 sit,
Oh,
sit,
I
sit.
know, I
You
know.
want the dog to say, oh, And can you see Ava right now, or is she too close to you?
Hold on.
All right.
These guys are magical.
Look at that.
There you go.
And she's learned. That's the first thing she learned in puppyhood. And you notice Heather has her beautiful smile turned on for her, and it makes it worth Ava's while to do that. But it also means that this is her default behavior. So if we call her, she sits and gets grabbed.
Okay, well, what about the old attitude? You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
You can definitely teach an old dog new tricks.
It doesn't matter how naughty your dog is, there's hope for it.
That's right. And because the training is a lot of fun, if the dog has been traditionally trained, jerked around, and hollered at, then they have a harder time with this because we want them to be free and to experiment.
Do you find that people try to treat dogs like they would treat kids? Like
Sure.
they do it all wrong?
Of course. We tend to talk a whole lot when we shouldn't. Okay, take her leash off and take her for a little walk. You've got all this space out here. We teach walking beside you off lead first, because if the dog doesn't know what to do, he can't do it. Did your mic fall apart?
I'm having a tough time.
You are having a rough day.
We're going to look at.
All right. Oh, we're missing Ava walking beautifully.
Yep.
Look at that happy
Don't look at me,
face.
don't worry about me.
Look at her face. This is, we're real proud of this. Do some nice little maneuvers,
So what do
Heather.
we call this? Just
Walking. You know,
with no leash?
we teach it first with no leash.
Oh, Max, watch out when I get home, buddy.
If she knows what she's doing, we don't have to worry about. Of course, we use a leash because it's legal, and it's a safety factor.
Wow,
But
that's
there's
terrific.
no doubt that she understands that being with Heather is an important place to be.
Now, when you say heel,
I never say heel.
when some people say heel,
Right.
what do they mean by that?
They mean get over here on my left side and don't look away from me and match your gait to
It sounds
mine.
very military.
It is
type.
very military,
So-
and we don't want to go back into the history of
No,
obedience,
no,
but
no.
that's where it came from.
So I see some hand gestures. I see
Yeah.
clicking. I've never seen the clicking before. This is interesting. Now, if you watch the, let's see, Ukanuba or
Yes.
Westminster, are they using clickers or? I don't-
Many of them are using clickers in training.
Okay.
If you look, does she have a good stand? Bring her right about here and ask her to
Heather's
stand.
going to work out here. She's going to be all.
Heather's always a good worker. Come here, baby.
Now, who owns Ava?
Oh, that's her dog.
Oh, that's her
Oh,
dog.
certainly.
Oh, all right.
How can you doubt it? Okay, have her stand.
Oh, stand. Oh, this is a little trickier.
Good.
Stand.
Now, and nice, good. Okay, now she doesn't have to stand and be perfect and beautiful, but it's a big change I've seen in the breed parts of dog shows. They used to do so much wrestling them around and yanking them into place and all that, and what you get is a dog that looks like it's been jerked around.
Right.
Whereas if the dog is well built and learns how to stand on its own, then that's fine, thank you.
You know, my dog loves kisses right on the nose.
Yes,
You
well.
know, it's amazing. They just like the
No.
muzzle. She-
I just don't want you to work too hard when the camera's not on
you
you.
can take a breather there.
All right.
Well, let's see if we can get into something controversial here.
Okay.
Okay, how about Caesar? You know, he's doing all that stuff. I mean, obviously there's different schools of thought
Obviously,
on whatever.
there's my school of thought, and there's everybody else who's wrong.
So
you know.
this is our show. This
Okay.
is your school.
Right.
So what do you think of what
Okay.
he does?
All of the people who have any background in science, of course, do not like what he does. There's several things that are said about it because you're married.
I am.
Yes. You wouldn't want to have a controversial relationship with your spouse that says, I am the Lord and you will obey me. Because first of all, your spouse, just like the average puppy dog, might bite you. But,
yes.
you know, you don't, it's a shame to go through life thinking that the other party that you're involved with is up to something, that's out to get you. And Caesar's stuff works for him. He's muscular, he's sexy, he's energetic, he has a nice accent. Unfortunately, when you try to, I get a lot of calls from the mothers of 13-year-old boys who've watched Caesar and they say, my son's dog just bit him and he's humiliated in addition to bleeding. What do we do now?
Oh boy.
That can happen when from the beginning you've set up a confrontational relationships. So we just try to avoid that altogether. The difference in what we do and in traditional dog training, is that we try to find things that we want the dog to do and then shape the behavior to achieve those things rather than saying, stop jumping, stop stop running away, stop stealing food, stop, you know.
Right, you're training to do, not what not to do.
And if you think about driving a car, where would you be? In the ditch like you were this morning.
Oh, I wasn't in the ditch. My wife was.
But if you were only taught, don't go too far to the left, don't go too far to the right, don't stop suddenly, you know.
What are, I don't know, the top 6, we won't go too far, top 6 things you would like a dog to do?
They're always the same. For everybody who comes to my class, you want him to come when you call him. You want him to sit politely and probably to lie down when you ask him to and to stay there a little while, reasonably. You want him to walk beside you. Oh, I'm only to 4. Those are big 4, though.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering what other people expect.
That's exactly what other people. Oh, you want him to have some self-control around food, and that's what Heather's working on right now.
So in other words,
she just put a treat
wait
down there. Yes, because it's safer for everybody.
Sure.
And we want the dog to have other kinds of self-control. One of the cool things, you were talking, I think, about your dog understanding you. One of the things that I think maybe the Goldens in particular, but all my dogs have been like that, they seem to understand if we don't get in their way very much, which people are fragile, which people need emotional support.
Right.
My group does a whole lot of nursing homes and so
nice.
Forth. And the wildest dog in the world can get really quiet and comfortable next to your grandmother in a wheelchair without being taught that, and I love it.
Sure. Dogs are such gentle beings. They truly are. You guys, Chris, you got a picture of old Max? Wait, I don't know if we have a stock picture of my dog that we like to pop up once in a while. Maybe.
I think you should have some pictures of my dogs up there.
I'm not in charge of the pictures. I just saw these things. Anyways, the biggest problem I have with Max is that every once in a while he gets this crazy notion that there he is.
Hi,
he's a
Max.
bearded collie. He's a
I
wild
know
man.
a bearded collie well.
And he is just absolutely.
About the top 3 on the most adorable.
He is adorable, and he kind of puts that head like that, and he talks to me and all this.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem I have with him is he gets this wild bird under his sail every once in a while, and he wants to bolt past the door because I leave him on a run, when he needs to go outdoors, and he likes to go out about 30 feet without me, stands there, defies me, and then he runs up the road.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm working on that one.
Oh, how are you working on it?
Well, when he comes back, I don't yell at him. I don't, scream and jump at him. I just say, I just tell him thank you for coming back, and then I just make sure that I put him on a leash every time.
Right.
I also warn everybody, don't let him, bolt past you, and we try to, as the keepers of the house, not let him get that opportunity, more or less. Try to limit it.
Yes.
Because I think he'll do it whenever he wants to.
Well, should we do a quick coming when called sequence?
Okay, a little bit more.
Here's a little more science if you're in the mood
I'm
for a
into
little more
science. I love science.
All right. So, we'll start. Oh, did I say come? Okay. So, coming when called is a behavior chain.
Okay. And going too.
First thing, that's right. Well, we'll relax for a minute and I'll go through the chain and then you won't have to work so hard.
Okay.
Okay. That means there's a lot of components in that word.
You got to break
come.
it down in little pieces, right?
So he's out here having a good time.
Right.
Why on earth would he pay attention to you? You're available to him all the time.
Right.
So we've got to shift that so that you become the most important thing. And you have to become the most important thing in lots of ways, I guess. Okay, so here's your behavior chain. As a general rule, say you were going to be in a piano recital, you were a little kid.
Okay.
And you went to your piano lesson, and the teacher said, here's your new piece for the recital, and today we're going to learn page 1.
Okay.
And tomorrow we're going to learn, next week you'll learn page 2.
Seems reasonable.
So you do 1 and 2, and
Right.
then the next week you do 1, 2, and 3, and then, oh my God, it's week 4 and you're in the recital and you're not very comfortable with page 4 yet.
Oh, no.
So what if that teacher had taught you page 4, and then the next time you went for your lesson you'd done 3 and 4, and then you'd done 2, 3, and 4, and when you did page 1 you're going to be nervous anyway.
So you kind of work it backwards.
So you are always moving from weakness to strength.
Oh, so I shall let the dog run at will.
You should come where I have a nice safe building and let the dog run at will.
Oh, no.
So one of the things, we don't have it with us, but all my students have about a 30-foot rope about this big.
Okay.
So that you don't hurt your hands if you grab it, but basically you step on it if the dog starts to take off. That way, his possibilities are limited. He can come back to you, or he can stand at the end of the 30-foot rope till the snow falls and he turns into a snow dog. Okay. So the last thing in this behavior chain that we want her to learn, I think we showed you before. I want something boring. Ava, come here, dear. The little jump is extra, but she didn't jump on me. Okay, so I take a hold of her collar. Good girl, yeah. I've got her very firmly. If I want to put a leash on there, I can do it.
Right.
Good, thank you. Okay, go to Heather.
Wow.
All right, so once that's down, and so actually we teach the most words we good girl, most words we teach last, but we have to teach this early, but we teach the word come when she's really right here, because this is the picture that we want her to have.
So instant
Ava,
success.
come. I've got her collar, okay. So then, there's several other, I got a foot in a cord.
So you're pairing the word, the command with the reward instantly. So that that's a good thing when they hear that.
That's a good thing, and she's right there where I can get my hands on her. Now the next part of that is we want her to cover some territory, and we can set that up in several ways, and the more territory she's covering, you could do that, Heather, you're young and spry, come here.
Heather gets a treat.
So, what we do, you got a treat in the clicker? Yep. Run. Now call her. Come. What are the chances she's going to come? Because Heather's in I can't run. I'm attached.
You can't run. You got to stay put.
I'm a good runner, but come here. So we run back and forth. We teach her to run back and forth.
Do you want me or no?
And we teach her to follow you, and then you stop. We throw treats so that she's a distance and has to come back for the next one.
Let's give you guys a break. You're going to work on it.
So at any rate, then we work on the distance component.
Okay.
And then we work on name recognition, so that when she's out there and she hears her name, you know, that swivel becomes automatic. And then we pay off for it like crazy. All through the day, every time you see the dog, if coming is your problem, you say come and pop a treat in its mouth, so that coming has become very valuable.
Do you ever do ignoring if the dog is doing something inappropriate? For instance, let's say, in my case, where Max takes off, there was a time where everybody would chase him, and he just thought this was a great game, and I said, stop chasing.
Absolutely.
When he comes, we will say thank you, reward him for coming, and build backwards, as you say.
Exactly.
But would you ignore a dog that was like, if you give the command and they take off, and you just wait the dog out?
Not if I was near traffic.
Okay.
You know,
So
I
what
would
do you
try
do?
to.
I mean, this is a serious thing. We all live in the
Yeah.
country, and our dogs
Okay.
are always ready to chase a deer or another dog.
I would make a whole lot of noise. I would stomp my feet and run like hell in the other direction.
Okay.
Because that would be the most exciting thing. I think your only chance of competing with a rabbit is to be a great big rabbit.
But you know, I take Max out in the woods, and we've got lots of woods. If I have a pocket full of treats, that dog never leaves my side. It's when he bolts on his own. But when we're out in the woods, he's great. It's not quite as good as Ava, but he'll come.
No one is as good as
he comes. He'll charge out there all by himself, and then he comes running back and sits right next to me, waiting for a treat, and then takes off again. So that's a minor thing. Max is really.
And you're comfortable there too.
I'm comfortable, very comfortable, yeah.
We just talked about how they can read our emotions.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So when he's bolting out that door, that's the worst. We work with whistles a lot, and of course a whistle only works if you have it with you.
What kind of a whistle?
But
like one of those.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have it with
There's a
me.
regular, like a coach's
The
whistle.
Acme Thunder or a coach's whistle is a great thing.
Another phone call. You ready to take a call?
Sure, I bet.
It's a busy morning. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
I was wondering if a senior citizen wanted to get a dog, what would you suggest that they do? Go out and buy one at a pet store, or where would you suggest a senior citizen get a dog? Thank you.
Wonderful question. I'm doing some work with NCCR coming up. We haven't talked about this schedule.
NCCR.
Northern Chautauqua Canine Rescue.
Okay.
And they have a special program to match senior dogs with senior people. And so that improves your chances of finding a dog that's a little more laid back and ready for whatever lifestyle you're ready for. However, though, I think I'm 72, so I'm
not.
I think the other thing is you want the dog that, when you look at it, violins play and the lights go pink. And,
So it sounds like you would prefer that maybe someone will go the SPCA or rescue as opposed to going to some generic big name.
Well, definitely. We don't want to get off on the pet store issue, but anybody who buys a dog from a pet store is propagating the horrible, horrible trafficking and the horrible conditions that those dogs live in. And so you see them in a pet store and they move you and you want to save them from that situation, but every one of those you save makes space for 2 or 3 more to suffer. So.
Okay, but you know, right along with that question,
a good breeder, by the way, is always a wonderful source of a good dog. And one of the things, I just had somebody else do this, people are kind of reverse snobbish about show dogs. They say, oh, I wouldn't want a show dog. Well, an older dog that's retired from the show ring, perhaps the breeder only has room in her house for a couple of breeding dogs.
Sure, could be a
Those
great dog.
dogs have been out among thousands of people and thousands of dogs. From puppyhood, they've said, oh, would you like to cut my toenails? Thank you. Would you like to brush my teeth? Oh, good. Would you like to brush me for a while and rub my tummy? Don't miss this.
One of the things I've done is,
that's a show dog.
if people are interested in getting a dog, is go online or get a book and read about the breed.
Right.
When I read about Max, he was like the dog.
Yes.
He was perfect for me.
That's
He's not too
right.
hyper, but loves kids and families and bouncy and just full of energy, but not too much.
And that face.
He looks just like me. I have another caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I had another question. I never did get a chance to
He's back.
Ask it. Incidentally, for the information, it's wonderful to adopt a dog from a shelter because there are millions of dogs that unfortunately are put to death because there's nobody to take them. And so you're saving a life when you take a dog from a shelter, which is really important. But LeeAnne, I had a question for you. I received an email recently to beware of treats that are commercially available, especially those made in China, because they can kill your dog. Is that true?
Oh, there's been a lot about that lately. And of course, your veterinarian is the best source of accurate information about this. But yes, I've been saying it for years before it came to public attention. You know, we have trouble in this country with food regulations for people. Think of what the food regulations for dog food are in foreign countries. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the input. And what a show. You're doing a great show. And I love the dog. I love that dog. I'd take that dog in a wink. So have a good show. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You know, a question I had too is some dogs get treats like all the time and they're 3 feet wide. You know, so are there treats that you should stay away from that really put on the pounds? Seriously, I see dogs that are way overweight.
Well,
right?
Look at the nation.
Yeah, well.
You know, I don't think it's the treats themselves. I think
Lack
it's
of exercise, maybe?
lack of exercise.
So they're like us.
delivery
They got to
method.
eat
Yeah.
right. Could we just talk about this real briefly? What, you know, I hear canned food, table scraps, just dry food, a mixture of things. Is there something that you recommend? Not necessarily a brand, but type.
Well, again, I think we wouldn't recommend one food for any family. It's very, very individual.
Really up to the dog.
But I think a good owner does some research, and they also watch their dog, and they see what keeps them from getting fat. And generally, the recommendations on a bag of food are pretty close to accurate because those companies want those dogs to live a long time and keep eating their food.
Right.
And then what I suggest is if the dog is getting too heavy, if you can't feel his ribs, then you decrease his food by a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see his ribs, then you increase his food by a quarter. And It is very important, not just from a training standpoint. Dogs are not meant to have a bowl of food out there all the time, day and night. It's kind of important to feed them real meals, just like we feed ourselves real meals.
Max is a strange dog when it comes to feeding. He doesn't eat during the day, doesn't eat at lunchtime, he eats like at 10 o'clock at night. And he's done this ever since he was a puppy. And so, you know, it's nothing like we're watching the news here.
Well,
he's skinny, he's bouncing, he's fine, but it's
that's
like,
right.
Max. I throw a little scrambled egg in here once in a while. He really likes scrambled eggs.
That's when he likes to eat.
Okay. So
All
what
right.
else we
Shall
gonna
we?
talk
Well, let's talk about what we came for. Okay. So this is National Train Your Dog Month, and it's our intention to try to bring people's awareness to how important it is to train your dog and how much fun it can be.
She's praying.
That's right. It's one of the. It's the opposite of a bad cycle. It's a good one. You train a little, and the dog's more fun, and you can include the dog in more activities, and you're proud of them, and that means you're going to do more training, and so the dog is likely to live and you're going to take better veterinary care and feed better food. It's just a very good cycle, and it means the dog is very likely to live to a happy old age with the family that took him in the first place.
Our two dogs up till now lived to 14. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
So, for this week, we have 4 events coming up.
Okay, let's go through them.
The first one is tomorrow at 3:15 at the county home. And it's right after church.
Okay.
And our audience will consist of the people who come to our regular. We go there. I've been going there since '77, so we have some faithful followers. But being the weekend, we also are hoping for some family members, and the families and the general public is definitely invited. What we're going to start with tomorrow is what Ava and Heather just passed, and that's the Canine Good Citizenship Test.
So you go in the county home, that's in Dunkirk on
Temple Road, right near Route 5.
Off of Route 5. And
3:15, about an hour, free.
Are you working with the residents there?
Well, the residents do participate a little bit, but no, mostly we put on shows for the residents and provide cuddle time.
Believe it or not, my partner Bill and I, we put on shows, but we don't do dog shows. We sing and play music.
Well, yep.
Because they're a great group of people up there, and
That's
we
right.
enjoy them so much.
So that's how we're starting.
Number 1.
The show tomorrow, we'll start with the Canine Good Citizenship Test. We have a young woman, I think she's 14, bringing her dog who's just beginning to learn those tests. There are 10 of those tests.
Just bring one dog tomorrow?
Oh no, we're going to have as many as we can round up. But and then I may bring in my own dogs if there's time, and they do some.
What do you have?
I have a rescue border collie, a Belgian Tervuren, and a sort of rescue golden. She's been here before. Her breeder, she was in the wrong home for a year, and her breeder bought her back.
Only because this is diversion in my mind. You said a Belgian Tervuren. Now, the announcer on Westminster always has that real powerful voice. Is it Samoyed or Samoyed?
I think it's Samoyed.
He always says Samoyed. Back to you. So the county home.
Okay. Then next Sunday, we're going to be at the shelter, the Canine Training Center at the Northern Chautauqua Canine Rescue. That's on North Gale Street. Again, almost to Route 5, but it's hard to get to that way. And she's happy.
She's starstruck.
And on that occasion, we're going to start.
You've been replaced, Reed.
He's hardly ever under the table.
We never show under the table.
In the morning. So on that occasion, we're going to start with a sport called Rally, which is lots of fun. It's the most fun, except maybe agility, but it's a lot easier than agility, dog sport. And
what do they do?
I'd love to come and do it on TV sometime. It'd be fun. You may know in traditional obedience came from the Germans.
Jawohl.
Heel, sit, stay, and you're not allowed to talk to your dog in between when you're working with them, and one good dog at the end of each exercise. So Rally just opens it all up. And and the judge tells you what to do. And that's a pain, Left turn, right turn. I had big dogs and I walk fast. The judge was always running me right into the fence.
Oh my gosh.
But they were little fences. Okay, so Rally, you have these signs about so big, and they have these wonderful symbols on them that you have to learn to decipher. And they're all standard procedures, but can you do a Schützenturn?
Oh, yeah.
Say that again. A what turn?
A Schutzen turn, but it isn't called that in AKC because Schutzen is the sport with the bite work.
Which way do you want me to do it? To go that way?
Schutzen.
Just do a few, Heather. And
Schutzen, that sounds
now
German.
watch this fancy turn. Whoa! Do it again. Yeah. You see, it's fun for the dog.
Oh,
because,
Max and I have a workout today. I can see that
all
right now.
Great.
Schutzen.
Thank you. So that's one of the maneuvers in rally. And you can imagine what the sign for that looks like.
Yeah.
And there's some, what else? Anyway, the standard things, walking with you and, sitting down.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, going around from the front. This starts off, by the way.
So not jumping over couches.
Well, actually, if there was a couch, there
Max
was
is
a
a great
jump in
jumper.
it. That's wonderful. Yeah.
So this is all part of it, right?
Isn't that fun?
So they get points in
They
competition?
do. So what happens?
That was beautiful right there.
That was beautiful.
Very well done.
So you have a
Schutzen.
course.
Okay.
No, this is not Schutzen.
Not Schutzen.
That turn was a Schutzen
Okay.
turn. The AKC stole it from the Germans, like the rest of these things. But at any rate, so instead of the judge telling you what to do, the judge says, "Are you ready?"
Okay.
And if you say yes, you take off, and the signs are numbered, and you follow this course all around. You do it as fast as you can. You can clap, you can laugh, you can tell your dog, "Oh, what a great dog!"
I saw this at the Erie Dog Show a couple years
Yeah,
ago. There's a
probably.
little setup, a pen, and they have like little
Yeah.
fences around, and it's
Yep.
all hand gestures and that.
Yep.
Okay. I know
And
what
it's,
you're talking about.
and it's just fun for everybody.
You're not going to believe this, but this year I went, another digression, but same.
That's quite all right.
We were at the Erie County Fair, and they were doing this with llamas. I'm not making this stuff up. You guys know I don't make this stuff up. They're doing all these hand gestures. These llamas are backing up, and they're going through all this stuff. It's
Come to the
thing.
farm festival next year. We've got a lady who's going to do it with rabbits.
Farm Festival?
Yep.
Where's this?
The Fredonia Farm Festival? You
I
don't
live in
go to the
Ripley.
Fredonia Farm
I go
Festival?
everywhere else. I'll have to make that on my schedule. Okay. All right, so that's the second thing you're going to do.
So we're going to do rally
keep us on track here.
and some other advanced obedience things because it's a nice big room with a soft
Okay.
floor. And then we kind of repeat the approach for the next 2 weeks, but of course they'll be different dogs and so forth.
Okay, so that's two
so-
activities.
okay.
You told me there was going to be four, so what's the third one?
Well, no, the third
Third one.
we go back to the county home and it'll be similar to the first
Oh,
one.
okay.
And then the fourth one, we go back to NCCR.
Two.
So, yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
So the really wildly active things we do at NCCR. because
Now,
it's
is
built
there
for
a
it.
cost to go to the
No,
NCCR?
they're all free.
Okay.
And we want to inspire people and say, come and have this much fun with your dogs.
One more time, where's the address for NCCR?
It's on North Gale Street and in Westfield.
Oh, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Down in the
Yes.
The dip there.
So what you do, you go, well, if you're coming from the east, going west into Westfield,
Coming from northeast Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay, though you're going the other way. So you're gonna, it's a little harder from northeast Pennsylvania because you gotta turn 2 blocks before the bridge. How's that?
Okay, everybody
Which
makes
means-
that. Get on
which
North Gale
means-
Street, go down the dip between
Yeah.
394 and 20.
If you can find North Gale Street,
Yeah.
and it's got a tombstone on the corner for some reason, which makes it easy to find. Does anybody else notice that?
Woo! That's
So
right.
you just take it forever and you cross the railroad tracks. And if you've never visited, we're so lucky here. We have wonderful shelters. The new Lakeshore is just, it literally is a work of art.
Nice.
And NCCR is great, and having the training building is just wonderful.
So what kind of fun things, besides just going to these little activities, does Ava like to chase Frisbees or anything like that? Or?
She carries the shoes all around the house.
She's a shoe carrier. Oh, shoe fetish.
She's learned how to jump on the beds. She loves to play. We have another golden retriever, and they play very hard in our backyard. And one of the things that I wanted to mention is they have the invisible fence for your dog.
Oh.
It would be a very good
Yeah, I
on
think so.
having invisible fence, so they can go and be free, but there's boundaries.
Okay.
And that could save.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned and didn't stress, all of my dogs and my students' dogs, when they're learning this stuff, they're dragging a great long rope behind them.
Okay.
So they feel free.
You know,
you're not grabbing it,
I've
but
seen it. I've done that with Max, where I click off the leash, so there's a big long, and he just drags it. He doesn't realize I'm not
right.
there.
And if there's no handle or anything, it doesn't often hang up. Nylon rope is good for that too. It slithers.
We have another call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. A real quick call. Is there a certain breed of dog that you personally recommend for older people that can't get out a lot but would like to have a house pet that they can, take out to do its duty, but other than that, it'd be more a house dog.
Oh, there are so many small dogs, and even big ones. Great Danes and Greyhounds, oddly enough, would spend their lives on the couch and never bother you. But there are so many small dogs that would love that kind of life. And as we've talked before, a good breeder can help you find one, or a shelter. But it's so important to match the personality of the individual dog with the personality of the individual handler. Some dogs love to be groomed, and there's some people that love to sit and groom a dog, and some people say, dog hair.
Yeah, and some dogs don't like to be groomed that need to be groomed.
So I think it's such an individual matter.
I had a cat that would lay in my arms on its back, and it loved to be scratched.
Yes.
Under its chin and so forth. It would raise its arms so I could scratch under its arms. And I mean, it was the most wonderful cat. About twice a day, he'd come over and we'd have our little love session, scratching session, and animals are wonderful company to old people that are.
They are indeed, and I think you've probably heard that they have all kinds of health benefits for us, as if they don't knock us down the stairs. They lower our blood pressure. They increase our chances of fast recovery or recovery at all after surgery. They certainly keep us from depression. And if you go out on the street for a little longer than letting the dog wet, they help you make friends, because everybody will come up to you if you have a friendly-looking dog.
That is true. Thank you very much.
And if you have your cat on your shoulder, same story.
Thank you.
You know, we had different kinds of dogs over the years, and we had one before we had this Max. We had a Maltese, and I thought, it's a little lap dog. That dog hated me. Hated me because it was territorial. It was my wife's dog, and if that dog was sitting on Barb's lap, he'd bite me. It took me forever. And then when he turned like 10, he was my dog. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he fell and hit his head and he woke up and realized that I was okay. But in the last 4 years, he always sat with me and he wouldn't sit with Barb. So I was like...
Oh, this is another digression. I was walking the Pooh Bear I mentioned, this is years ago, up on Highway 380, and horrible people drove by with a bright blue Dodge, I've never forgotten it, throwing kittens out the window.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we rescued as many as we could find, and kept one of them, and for 7 years she would not let my husband touch her.
Yeah.
And then 7.5, she said, I think you live here too. I guess you're not going to throw me out of the car. But it hurt his feelings something awful.
It hurt my hand awful. I had scars over my hands. Well, anyways. Well, we got time for maybe one more presentation, unless
what would you like? What should we do? We did walking?
Walking? Do you want walking?
Sure.
Or without?
I think without. She's happier and you're happier.
Here, you might want to hold that though, she'll grab it.
In the CGC, all she has to do is do some forward and a left turn and a right turn and an about turn and a halt.
Do you always want the dog on your left?
It's an individual manner. Most of us were trained that way, so it's easier. And if you have two dogs, then you have one on each side.
Oh, look at this.
Yay, good girl.
She's going to do a schutz in here any minute, I can tell.
Sure, that's the most fun thing for a small space. I think one thing we might show.
Hey, you saw it here first, folks. A schutz.
So cool.
Okay, we're running out of time here. LeeAnne, give you like 30 seconds just to say whatever you want to say about your school and how people get a hold of you and so forth.
Oh, thank you. I have a website, which is SeriousDogSchool.com. And so that spells out almost everything about me. I'm right on Route 20 in Brockton. I've been at it since 1977. I hope getting a little better every year. I have a very nice training building with a wooden floor and all mats. And through the years, I had Great Danes for 30 years, and I've done all kinds of competition in addition to therapy work. I feel that if I'm going to say I'm an expert, I should be out there and let people look me over. But I'd rather they look at Heather and Ava.
Okay, well, I want to thank Heather and Ava and yourself for coming to the show. I do apologize for coming in late, but hey, it's Western New York.
It is.
At this opportunity, I want to thank Reed for being sick today and giving me the opportunity to be the host. No. Reed will be back next week. So anyways, you've been watching the Senior Report. I want to thank the following people: Chris Burke, Randy Burt on camera, Jeff Zook, who filled in for the first little bit of the show and on camera, Chuck Kelsey, who makes it all happen here. He's our guru, and all the other folks that you see listed in front of me. Guys, be careful out there. It looks nice, but the roads are slick and slippery. Have a wonderful new year, and we'll see everybody here at the Senior Report with Reed Powers next Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, and I'll see you all soon. Take care and be well.
Thank you.